Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a build video. I know finally it's been a little while. The last video I did I think was nano coils, but today we're just going to be doing a simple micro coil build with cotton wicking. For those of you that are just starting vaping, hopefully this will cover all the bases for you, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so to start off we're going to make sure we have all the materials we need. Our nail clippers to cut our wires. You can use wire cutters, whatever you're comfortable with. I like using these clippers. They're side clips so they get nice and close to the coil and they're cut every time. Your screwdriver for adjusting your contact screws. Your Kanthal. I use 28 gauge Kanthal. You can use higher or lower depending on what resistance you want to get. Your pliers. The atomizer you're building on. I like to build it on a mod. It makes it easier to get a hold of and hold on to and build on. Your cotton ball for your wicking, and a pair of scissors to cut your cotton, the juice you're going to be putting on, and of course your RDA cap and drip tip. And your drill bit that you're going to be wrapping your coil on. This is a 3/32 drill bit, so you can build on something slightly bigger or slightly smaller. It's if you don't want to go too small, it'll turn into a nano. So let's get started. So at first I'm going to go ahead and grab my Kanthal and measure out the section that I need. You don't need an awful lot of Kanthal for this. So I just take a section about yay big and I run it through the spool, make sure it doesn't unwind, just like that. Go ahead and cut it. So now I have my Kanthal. And this is obviously way more than what I'm going to need for my build, so I'm going to cut this in half so it's easier to work with. I'm going to grab my 3/32 drill bit. I'm going to hold on to it like so. You can see my thumb right there is what's going to be helping to hold the end of the Kanthal down to start the coil. So I slip it under my thumb just like that to hold it in place. And then I start wrapping. And you want to get them as close together as possible. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I like to do 6 wraps. Some people like to do more than that. So you've got your coil on your drill bit. And I went ahead and wrap this a little bit looser so I can show you guys how to fix a loosely wrapped coil like that. So the reason why I have my pliers here is not only to squeeze the coils, but I also like, while I have my coil on the drill bit, I will hold it down with my 2 fingers like this. I'll grab each end and I'll pull it to make sure there's no lumps, bumps, or anything in there that's going to prevent the coil from doing what it needs to be doing. So now you can see, hopefully, if it focuses, that it's a loosely wrapped coil, but you can fix that later. Don't worry too much about it. Of course, the tighter you wrap your coil at first, the better it's going to be. So I'm going to go ahead and snip off that extra leg, about the same length as the other, just so it's easier to work with. Go ahead and set that one aside. Grab our extra piece of Kanthal and start the wrap. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So again, there's my coil, there's the legs, and I'm going to go ahead and trim this one off to match. You should have a liberate amount of Kanthal for legs. These legs are what's going to be going through your RDA posts. So you're going to before you take that off, always check and make sure your wraps are tight and that they're not going to have any bumps or mess ups, hitches in them. Go ahead and take it off. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that RDA. This is going to be a dual coil build. You can see I've got each screw unscrewed to where I can just slip the coil right in. I'm going to grab the coil in my fingers like this so it's easier for me to work with and start to feed it through those post holes. Okay, and you can see that each one of these legs are in there. I'm going to make sure I've got it in there the way I like it. And once I've got it in the position that I like to fold the legs up so they're nice and out of your way. And then we're going to grab our second coil in our fingers just like that. and make sure to put it right through the post holes. Just like that. Measure it out and bend your legs up. So it looks kind of ugly right now. Excuse my nod. You can see it from a side view. It's kind of ugly and hairy right now, which is fine. You're just going to clip it down later. That's the beauty of working with this Kanthal and these coils. It's very malleable and you can do what you need to do. And make sure that the distance from your post legs into your post is the same on each side, so it heats evenly and appropriately. So I'm just going to double check and make sure this is good and on there. And then once you have them in the spot that you want them, then just go ahead and tighten it down. So you can still see how kind of hairy and everything it is. Make sure you tighten those screws down to a good level, about 80% down, so you don't snap your Kanthal. Snapping your Kanthal is an awful thing and it makes me mad every time I do it, but the good thing is you have more Kanthal and you can always make more. So now that we've got that on there, everybody does it differently. I like to clip my posts before I test fire it. 1, 2, and watch your eyes. If you don't have glasses, sometimes this Kanthal can spring up in your face. I'll show you closer, me clipping the center posts. 3, maybe. Make sure not to clip that coil leg from the one that's next to it. And 4. Now that that's good and on there, we'll make sure there's no floating pieces of Kanthal sitting in your bag. Looks pretty good to me. And then you can see that these coils look a little bit sideways, right? I like to do it this way. Other people use screwdrivers or pliers or whatever. I like to take the straw of it so it keeps the integrity of your coil in place, and I'll slip it back in that coil that I just placed and use it and level it out. Same on the other side. Level it out. Look at it from the side view. You can see 2 coils. One's not as level as the other, so we'll just go back in, lift it just a little bit. So now you can see coils are in place, they're intact, legs are cut, screws are tight. I'll go back just in case, check my screws are nice and tightened. Try and get them as even as possible tightened. There we go. 3 times to say it, 3rd time is charm. And I'll go ahead and fire it. Maybe. And what you're going to want to see is your coil heating up from the outside in. And go ahead and just pinch your coils down, make them, and this is the part where we're starting to fix our coils. You can see them start to glow. You want to make sure they fire as even as possible. It might take a couple times for them to get nice and situated. Look, they're nice and even, glowing from the inside out. Let me see that on the close-up. The outside of my coils. There we go. Perfect. So now that we've got that done, nice and easy, I'm going to go ahead and grab my cotton ball. And instead of unrolling it all the way, just pinch a section off, like that. And this obviously is going to be more than enough than what we need. I like to split it. Grab the 2 ends, fold it over, just like that, and then roll them together. This makes for an easier wicking. It's really hard to shove something that's super fluffy into that tiny little hole. Clip the end. And now that you can see I've got my fine point end, I'm going to turn my atomizer to the side and start to slip it through that coil hole. Like so. and pull it through. If it's too tight to pull it through, then don't force it. Make it comfortable in there. Cotton expands, so don't worry too much about that. And before I do anything else with that one, I'm going to fold my other piece of cotton and grab my other piece of cotton. Fold it in half, twist it. I like to cut the ends so it gets any of those little bits that are going to keep it from snagging up inside that coil, and feed it through. Some people like to use tweezers to grab that end of the cotton because it's just easier for them to do. Me, I like to be able to grab it. I'm not that good with grabbing stuff with tweezers. And now that you can see I've got my cotton nice and licked, I'm just going to go around and cut the edges and make sure they're not hanging over the top. I like to come in at a slight bit of an angle so it cuts it evenly to that well. And if less is more with cotton because it does expand and you don't want it to suffocate your coils. It could cause, having too much cotton can reduce the amount of vapor that you're going to get, and also waste e-juice by having too much in there. I'm really weird about having it go over my posts. I like to trim it down and make sure it's perfect. You will find what's comfortable for you. Cool. Awesome. Now that that's in place, you can see my cotton's all good and ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and push it down a little bit to make sure that it's not overflowing over that well. Looks like we're pretty good. We're going to take our bottle of juice, repping that TNT Time Bomb flavor, my favorite. Almost out, unfortunately. And you can pick up Time Bomb hopefully from your local supplier. A couple places didn't have it that are now carrying it. It's a delicious flavor, so I'm happy they are. Just go ahead and make sure you get it nice and saturated with the e-juice. It's supposed to look kind of slushy afterwards, and that way you'll know it's nice and saturated. Cotton will sometimes have that awful taste in the beginning. If you wash your hands before you do your build, it'll remove some of the oils that get into the cotton and kind of reduce that bad flavor. I don't boil my cottons. Some people do. Some people say it helps with flavor. I don't mind enough to want to do it. So now you can see it's nice and slushy, shiny, kind of transparent in some places. So it's good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and pop my RDA cap on there. And let's go ahead and take a look at how the vapor production is. So let's take a look. Nice thick billowy clouds. The beautiful thing about coils is they're fully customizable. Let's go ahead and plug this in and see what ohms we're running at. I have mine plugged into my computer. I think mine was broken when I got it to the point where it won't work with the battery, so you can bear with me on the cord. I have to get a new one. So we're just going to screw it in to the ohms reader. 0.71. It's a little bit higher than what I normally build, but it's safe. For a 30 amp battery, it's safe. Always check your ohms, make sure it's exactly what it needs to be. If you don't really know what ohms are, I definitely suggest reading up on Ohm's law. Always make sure that what you're doing is safe. Always make sure your battery's in the right side up. I've seen it happen to even experienced vapors where they put their battery in backwards. If you have any other further questions about this build, or if you liked it, please hit the like button and comment below if you have any further questions, and don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you next time.